I was eating like a dog earlier because popcorn's like my thing at night, but I got this like heavily buttered popcorn. My hands just feel like shit after I eat it. So I'm like, I'm gonna be typing, like messing with the mic. I don't want grease everywhere. And I'm not like that kind of guy that's like, don't get messy, but it's just too much. So I was just easier that
Your
way.
solution is eat like
Dog.
it's a trough.
Okay, and then this is I
What?
forget the name of the juice. It's my water cup. About a month ago, I was off work and Kelly and I picked up the kids together. I was like, let's go get some juice. Like, let's stop by the nearest smoothie place and get a good smoothie, have a nice afternoon as a family. Walking to some random ass local smoothie place. First mistake, it's local. Don't shop local. It's way more expensive. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys.
Shop.
Yes, Amazon. Shout out Jeff Bezos. Joking. This was filled with a smoothie. It was $16.
What do you mean? What was in it?
I don't
Gold?
know.
Gold flakes?
So like they like the kids order theirs, and like I'm looking at the menu, I'm like, this is kind of expensive. I was like, hey, let's share one. Like I don't feel like dropping like $100 for smoothies. That was just, you know. So she picks out the flavor, and they're like, yeah, total's $37.55. And I was like, where's the food and the alcohol? Like what the? So this comes out, dude. This. And it was filled with a smoothie, and the smoothie was good. But I was like, we are taking this home, and this will be mine forever. And I use it whenever because I'm like, dude, what the hell?
Get the most bang
Thanks,
for your buck.
Obama. Thanks, Obama.
44th. Would you right? 44th?
You do my math. Yes.
Dude, that is wild. What and you paid I bet you just
I'm
tapped the
joking.
card and walked out.
I inflated both of those numbers. I think this
Oh.
was 9. I think the total was 20, but it was still
I was about to say, this sounds like you're not in Albuquerque anymore, or Albuquerque's no longer on that New Mexico pricing.
Yeah.
It sounded like LA.
I'm lying.
At first, I thought it was that see-through protein shakes y'all drink. Because that's
those are
some
good
voodoo
too.
shit.
Those are good too, but they're also insanely expensive.
How expensive? $38.
Like each bottle's like $4.99 instead of like, you know, you get a protein shake at Costco, you get like 30 of them for $15.
But all for the macros, right?
This is riveting shit we're talking about here.
Oh, absolutely. Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed Podcast, a podcast by people who love movies, people, and the magic that lives where they meet.
We haven't done this in over a month, dude.
Dude, it's been like, it feels like forever. I think that I'm low-key, high-key sad and happy because low-key sad because we didn't get to talk about spooky season, and I know you love spooky season. I feel like we haven't even recorded. Did we even record in October? And then also high-key happy because I did a mediocre job at spooky season this year. I know that's not surprising, and I know that people didn't really want to hear me just complain about scary stuff like I always do. So why don't you, yeah, dude, catch me up on life. How was the last year?
Year's a little bit dramatic. We recorded October 18th, so it's not been that long. It Ends With Us was the last one we did, dude. I feel like I've watched a lot. I'm like addicted to Letterboxd now, and I'm like really sad. Like my numbers aren't where I need them to be. But spooky season was incredible. A lot of great watches. But I will say, hold on, I'm going through my list. My favorite spooky season watch in theaters was Smile 2. It was riveting stuff. It was awesome. And even Drew, if you follow us on our socials, you saw quick reactions. The handsome Drew coming out telling you to go see it in theaters.
He did.
That was awesome. I had never seen the original Black Christmas, 1974, one of like the Godfather slasher movies. And it was amazing. Incredibly tense. I watched it on my own. Kelly was asleep, the kids were asleep, and I felt a little something. And 70s movies don't do that usually, but it got to me. It was good. It was like one of the first POV slashers, but they didn't use it too much. And like it was, you know, I think if you like horror, I've heard of Black Christmas, a couple renditions of it, early 2000s remake. There was a remake a couple years ago. Sorority House is being tormented by a guy who wants to kill them. But anyways, 70s version was amazing. Recently watched Strange Darling, one of the best psychological thrillers / horrors in recent years. Just so good, so fun. Anyways, I feel like we've watched a lot of good stuff. Speaking of of horror, right? Like recapping spooky season, it was a good spooky season, but not for you. You were
I,
throwing tantrums.
always, all the time. The Strange Darling. I will say this: the poster is really cool. I think we've gotten a lot of red and black posters this year, especially in the horror
Yeah.
genre. And this one, it seems like it's like a spin-off on. It's like a sub red and black movie poster. And I will say, everyone that I've read online or heard on TikTok was just mentioning how much fun this movie is. And I had a little bit of FOMO, not gonna lie. Same amount of with The Substance. I had a little bit of FOMO. I did not watch either of them, but dude, the internet had me regretting. Like, there's a few movies I regret this year not seeing in theaters, and one of them's Thelma. I don't know if you heard of that, but
Oh yeah.
I've heard it's so great. There's like involves a moped and an old woman, and no, that sounded like condescending to the elderly. I totally do not mean that, but everyone says how
They're
fantastic it is.
they're a big part of our audience, so you got to be careful.
That's right, 33%. I actually don't even know. How do we know that?
I was
Anyways,
joking.
moving on.
Please see The Substance. Okay, so Strange Darling, incredible, but I'm bummed you didn't see The Substance in theaters. It is phenomenal.
I know, and honestly, I was getting FOMO. That's how the connection with Thelma was. Thelma's a regret, not seeing in theaters, and The Substance is climbing that ladder of regret. It's on like the third or fourth rung from the top, and a big part of that is, one, the internet was losing their mind over it. Two, the internet was losing their mind over it. And then three, I got a shout out Brian White. I got a text message from Brian. He was asking if this movie is okay for the scaredy cats. And I think it's because the internet was talking so much about it that, again, similar to Brian, I was like starting to question things. Like, am I missing out here? Like, when The Menu came out, when was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? It said it was a psychological horror or like horror scary film, and I gaslit myself into saying it's not a horror film because the trailer looked like it was so much fun. This one is kind of the opposite. The trailer did not look like it was fun. The movie poster was haunting. It's like staples running down this woman's back. But there was a part of me that started to be like, wait, is it really that scary? Josh, I think I think you can handle it. You
100%
can
can
go
handle
watch
it.
it. And dude, I didn't. I
Wait,
feel
did
like
Brian
I'm
go
gonna
see
miss.
it?
No, I don't think so. Because he wanted me to go see it and report back, and it was just at a time where there was just too many movies going out, and we've been hitting for the newsletter. Life's chaotic. I just couldn't make time for, what was it, 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
Substance
missed
is a
out,
long
dude. I
one.
missed out.
It is so good. It's one of those. I'm grateful that I saw it in theater, and I'm not trying to rub it in. It feels good to see in theater. Like Strange Darling, incredible movie. I don't think the theater would have changed the experience very
Okay.
much. Smile too. I think the theater enhanced it quite a bit.
I heard
But
Smile 2 has the most unhinged jump scares. Like, I probably would have died. Like, no joke. Like,
scared the shit out of me.
Drew is giving me shit the other day because we just did Red One, and I don't know if anyone is out there is familiar with Red One, but the Josh Josh jump scare, dude, it wasn't double digits, but I hit 6, and as soon as he walked out, Drew's like, Josh,
Red
6. You have 6 jump scares, and 2 of them maybe were legit, like not legitimate, valid. Because there's a couple, the movie's like 80% action. Like that's all it, it's a action flick. So, it's gonna have some explosions, or it's gonna have some snowmen doing some scary shit. And so that's what got me. But anyways, there was a little extra bonus jump scares for me. But I watched in the background. I didn't fully focus on it. Smile 1, I was doing some work on the computer. Drew was doing his homework by watching, just doing his due diligence by watching Smile 1 before Smile 2, because I did not go to that one for that week's newsletter. And it was pretty horrifying, not gonna lie. Like, the little sections I did see, oh my gosh. Like, maybe if you're queasy, don't listen to this next part. I'll give you a little pause. But seeing people's insides on their outsides is not for me. I am not okay with some of the, like, ooh, like I don't know. Anyways, let's leave that to doctors, medical people, and scientists, and people who enjoy horror films. But so that being said, I heard that Smile 2 is kind of like a mulligan. Not that Smile 1 was bad, but it's almost the same story or same structure, just new like different font, if you will,
Yeah.
and completely nailed. Like it just is, does a great job through the uprights.
It's like if
And
M. Night did Trap well too, like with the setting of like the pop star mega concert stadium
okay,
shows. And but it was just such an insane display of, and I don't know, there's discourse online on whether it was intentional or not, but like what depression would feel like for like the way that she is experiencing something and no one around her can understand and no one can see and no one can feel but herself. And she, Naomi Scott, just bruiser the whole movie. It is unbelievable. Like you said, through the uprights, hit it out of the ballpark. And again, I liked one. One was fun. But what's funny, so Kelly, lots of jump scares and Smile too, like audible gasps from the crowd and like cursing from people. Such a fun watch in theater. I don't jump scare, Josh. I don't. Like I love horror, and it's not that I just watch so much horror. I just simply don't. But we watched Fright Night, the cheesy vampire remake. It's not even the original. It's a remake with Colin Farrell. Shout out to Penguin, baby. And it came out in 2011. So it was like Twilight-esque, right? Like Fright Night, vampire, high school senior notices his neighbor's a vampire. I jumped out of my seat at a scene that was, I don't think, meant to be scary. No
what?
spoiler here. Somebody who's a vampire walks out into the sun and explodes, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was sitting right here where I am now, and I jumped like this. I scared the dogs. I scared Kelly. She was like, what the hell just happened? It was the first time in a very long time that, oh,
Dude.
speaking of people exploding in guts,
Oh,
ready or not?
I don't. Oh, okay. So when Kelly did that image, I didn't the image on or the our zombie team or whatever,
Yep.
our post about. I had no idea what those images were from, and it's from that, right? Ready or
Yes,
not,
dude, so good. That
that's
will live on as a classic. But yeah, Friday Night got me.
dude. Okay, one, Fright Night's written by Tom Holland. I don't know if you know that. Fun fact. Two, second fun fact, it's not Tom Holland that you're thinking about.
I was like,
Apparently, there's another
"Nah."
Tom Holland out there that's been writing since forever. And Psycho 2 is some of the Child's Play, Fright Night. Anyways, Thinner. Yeah, I have not seen Fright Night, but you know what, dude? I welcome to the club. We welcome you with arms wide open into the jump scare club, dude. I was actually really pumped to hear that when Kelly texted because it's usually me on the chopping block when it comes to scary things.
Oh,
Not
that's right. She outed me right away.
100%, especially because I was saying things like, Wild Robot got me. But
Oh, switching gears.
yes.
Perfect Days. Who
Oh
recommended it
yeah.
to you?
Johnny Rodriguez, dude.
Shout out Johnny. That was like, I don't know how to just, you haven't seen it yet, still, right?
Oh man, Johnny's gonna be so sad. I have not. I'm out here recommending
You have to
recommended
keep this
movies and
in.
still not seen it. But
Keep this
no,
in.
I
Johnny,
haven't.
I have your back. I got your back, Johnny.
I know, dude. I need to, and I hear it, and I know it's a slow watch, but I hear it's just beautiful. Like it's one of those maybe in a time where I feel like I need to be productive and I need a full busy life to be of importance on this earth, that maybe it'll be really helpful for me to like pause and sit and enjoy life. There's a there's a line in it. I saw it on Instagram. That's what reminded me of it, and that's what made me recommend it to you about um now is now and tomorrow is tomorrow.
Next time is next
Next
time.
time is next time. That's what it is. And now is now. And I don't even know the context of that, but it had me contemplating my life for a little bit.
Dude, it's 2 hours, so it is long. It is a slow burn, but, and I'm going to butcher his name. Hirayama is the character,
Okay.
and he is the toilet cleaner in Tokyo.
Okay.
And a good majority of the first and second act, he doesn't speak. And people around him do and engage with him.
Huh.
Not until his I don't, it's spoiling anything, but his niece runs into him, and like again, the third act closes like in such a beautiful way, and the payoff is so awesome because I think we're used to a traditional way of storytelling or how our main protagonists act in movies. And oh gosh, it was you love it. I mean, it is a slow burn for sure. So if you don't like that, maybe don't tune in. But I think maybe give it a shot. I think it's one of those that we've talked about After Sun and these different movies that are slow
Mhm.
burns that are tough, might not be a certain people's cup of tea. I think this is one that is worth trying, like dipping your feet in to a genre that you're not used to because it's literally PG. It's
Okay.
just this PG, wholesome, like there's not a single scene of somebody in peril. Like it's just not what
Right.
I usually watch, but again, it was beautiful. So good. So shout out Johnny.
And it's streaming on Hulu for those wondering. And yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned the rating because I don't know what it is about if it's not animated. Like if it's animated, I don't think about the rating. But
Yeah.
and if anything, if it's animated rated R, that's when I think about it. But I don't it's like, oh, G, PG, I don't even know. I go watch it. Transformers 1, don't even know what it's rated. Wild Robot, don't know what it's rated, but I watched it. And without thinking about that. But when it comes to like live action, I do. And for some reason I
Yes.
have a like a prejudice where I'm like,
Yes.
I'm gonna watch that. Like Conclave is PG. It's like Conclave? PG? What do you mean Oscar? It's in the Oscar buzz. That's the one of the scorecards we did recently. Dude, it is truly, truly riveting. It is truly it's a thriller. The dialogue is engaging. It had me on my seat, edge of my seat
And
for
it's
majority of the movie. And it's
PG.
PG. And it's all these like heavy hitters just yapping and yelling at each other for what is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours about electing the Pope. I did not think that election would be that in or that process would be that engaging and just I don't know what the right
Tense.
word is. Tense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But dude, it had my attention. It was captivating. Anyways, to your point though, don't sleep on PG movies. And so I'm
For
gonna check
real.
it out, dude. I'm gonna check out um what is it called? Perfect Days, and I need to stop. I need to watch it at least before just blindly recommending it to people as if I've seen it. But dude, yeah. The other thing I was gonna say about small plot. That's what it had me thinking about. Perfect Days being a small plot movie. Someone had mentioned
Mm.
that they like small plot movies and referencing After Sun, and I was wondering what that was, or I hadn't heard it. I've seen those movies before, but after it explains, like, yeah, it's just very contained movie and you're look glimpse into someone's story. And dude, one that I literally can't stop thinking about is Anora. And I know I've
Oh,
talked to you and we texted about it, and I know you're gonna go see A Real Pain instead of Anora, which A Real Pain is another good small plot movie, but is it small plot? I don't know. I think so. And then, but Anora, dude, is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it just had me just all kinds of I was not expecting it to be hilarious, like absolutely hilarious. Like I was laughing a majority of the movie, even when it became super, super stressful. And I know and then I looked it up afterwards and it says that it's a comedy. And I it was not expecting that from all the videos and trailers, like a comedy. I was like, a comedy? Are you sure?
interesting.
And dude, it is truly a comedy. It's also got the stress. The way I keep trying to the best thing that makes sense to me is the stress levels is like Safdie brother level, like
Oh,
uncut
good
gems,
times. Yeah,
good
yeah.
time, just you're anxious and it does not stop and it just builds and it builds and it builds and it gives you those little gaps of humor and sentiment and real life. And anyways, it's being talked about and it has been raved about since that the film festival in France, and it I understand why now. I watched it twice.
Ah,
Uh,
see, I have FOMO. You were talking about like potentially having FOMO with these horror movies. I have FOMO with A Real Pain. Well, more on Nora because I know I'm gonna watch Real Pain.
okay.
I have FOMO with the Nora because I'm like, there was something about the Real Pain trailer that I got emotional watching the trailer. So I was like, shit,
Mm.
I have to see this in theater. Like I've got to go watch it. But maybe I do a Nora.
A real pain. I think I don't know about you, but I think it's that brother relationship or that cousin family relationship. Because I
Yeah.
mean, that feeling of you grew up together with someone. Because in the movie, right, they're close, they're cousins, but they basically grew up like brothers, and they're pretty much the same age. And I think that there's something about comparing yourself to family and being opposites, but being loving and going on this trip and family. But dude, it does explore so many different themes and it is heartbreaking. It was probably trying to think, yeah, it was the most recent full watch I had. I didn't fully like weep. Like my eyes did get teary eyed, but dude, there was people in our theater. They were not okay. Like weeping. Like they were
I
struggling,
love
and I
that.
get it. And because dude, it is heavy content, and at the same time, I think Jesse Eisenberg, which one I'm super stoked for him starting to do some writing directing
Oh,
because
yeah.
he had done something previously before this, which I did not watch. And this one, like it's a 90-minute movie. It's a very tight, clean, and just everything seemed intentional and it seemed like it had a
Mm,
purpose. And I think that like methodical, anxious person we think we perceive Jesse Eisenberg to be, like it seemed like they were just acting as themselves. And I think that's another thing. Like this is a Jesse Eisenberg movie, it seems like, as he's interviewing about like him talking about production and director notes and all this stuff. And then you have Kieran Culkin, like I saw an interview him talking about how he was super stoked and he's like, yeah, it's gonna be fun and be easy. And then Jesse Eisenberg started giving notes and he's like, whoa, what my scene partner just gave me no like, and then Jesse Eisenberg's like, dude, I didn't even know if he was gonna show up on set. And it was just funny because that's like literally a vibe you get in the movie. And so I'm just excited for that filmmaking. But anyways, he handles some very, very heavy subject matter in a way that I think was just tender and precious, and also it did get us laughing. It got me laughing like pretty good, which I think, again, I think we've talked about this on so many different podcasts. Like that ability to lean, the further you lean into grief and sadness, the further we're able to lean into the humor or like be thrown back and forth and cross over between those two emotions. And so anyways, you got to see it.
I like what you said about Jesse Eisenberg though, because I was Googling one of the first movies I had seen him in. The homeboy is young. He's only 41. I've had this image that he was much older because it feels like he's been around for decades.
Right.
And I'm looking at like Zombieland 2009. And so it feels like a different era of movie. And he's not. Like he's just starting his game at 41 years old, like getting rocking. And so it's really
Right.
cool just looking at the different, I mean, obviously Social Network right after that, right in 2010, just crushing it. But in
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin, like in Succession, I think there's the difference too. Is like he was never on my mind until I watched Succession. So, but Jesse Eisenberg is in my mind since I was in high school. So like I didn't realize how young he was. So he's got this different career ahead of him too. Um,
Right. Yeah,
that's awesome.
and I think that there shows something about restraint, like
Yeah.
because he did his first movie he did, feature movie was When You Finish Saving the World, and it came out in 2022, and I think he wrote and directed that one, and so he was 39 when that came out. Yeah, he wrote and directed, he was 39, and now he's doing this movie and he's 41, and I'm gonna go on a little tangent. We're gonna come back, just a little off exit and back on this freeway. Is shameless plug, Make Something Cool is a podcast. Shout out Alex Sugg that we used to work on. I used to work on, and we interviewed this filmmaker named Ryan Booth. Which one? He was the inspiration many years ago when we did that short film Stitch Perfect about Jacob busting his eye open, and then, anyways, that was a fun time. But we were working with Alonzo, shout out Alonzo, and his inspiration at the time was this New York filmmaker named Ryan Booth. Fast forward several years, we're interviewing Ryan Booth for this podcast, and one of the things we asked him was like, what's your like advice to new creators or people just getting into it? And he said, sometimes you have everything you need except for time, and sometimes it's that patience, it's that restraint,
Hmm.
it's that the ability to not rush into something and to wait for moments that collide, converge, whatever you want to call it, to be able to make these things that you're dreaming and imagining and then coming into fruition and coming to life. And I just can't help but think about that because, like you said, it feels like Jesse Eisenberg's been around since forever because he's been acting in movies since forever
Mm,
at a young age.
yeah.
And I think I was like, I wonder if it's one of those things where he's like, I want to write and direct. Like, I'm curious if every actor has that feeling. I'm sure not everyone
Have to.
does,
Most of
but
them
you know
though.
what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, we're here. I'm on set. I can do this. Cause I feel like, I have moments that not just in movies, but like in any industry where I'm like, I can do that. And so I
Hey,
think
one
that,
sec. One
oh,
of the
go
kids
ahead.
is calling me.
Oh,
One
you're
sec. One
good. You're
sec.
good. You're good.
Back straight into it. Most actors who are decent probably have to feel that way, right?
Right. I think so. I don't know. I think there might be an itch and I don't know. I feel like I would need a, I would need to find it, but Ethan Hawke talked a lot about, I think it was Ethan Hawke in this interview. He mentioned how he wished more directors were actors or actors moved to directing because then you know the relationship or the experience. And of course, that's not always fully, you know, you still have your greats that aren't actors, but I'm noticing that a lot of the movies that I've been enjoying lately has very much so been people who have made that switch, and there's like a depth, I think, to the characters, like A Real Pain, or I really love I almost said Lady Gaga because I was thinking about Lady Bird, but then Greta Gerwig. Anyways, I really love Greta Gerwig's work, and I think that her being an actor has really benefited and translated into that, and I'm curious if that's like some actors, yeah, mentality of I've either I don't want to be a director, but now that I've gone through this, I think I can do this, or I want to be a director, but I want to be an actor first so I can understand it. But that's my assumption. So is usually is like, oh yeah, I'm curious how people get into it. But I think deep down, I wonder if people, because I'm under the impression I think that most people have a story. If not, I know every person has a story to tell. I'm just curious if most people want to tell that story, and I think most people do want to tell stories, whether it be through movies or any other medium. And so I just think, yeah, actors, right? They're like, not that acting's not telling a story. I think that's a part of that, but like their story,
Having full control over it.
right?
And I think, like, to tap into a different demographic of our listeners, like, it's like sports. Some of the best coaches never played, but now we're seeing that sometimes like players who had experience in like the NFL or something make good coaches. Sometimes they don't, but a lot of times they do, but for different reasons. And so, like, I think about Ben Affleck a lot because he's had he's a couple swings and misses, but he's also had some really incredible movies like that he has put together. He's acted in. Um, he is, I mean, I hope this isn't offending anybody. Never really regarded as one of the better actors of his generation. I don't think. I don't think most people would argue that he's like a top tier guy, but he's in the movies that he's done. Like, let's see.
I would say I would think that a lot of people regard him as a sleeper director or filmmaker, dude. Like
That
in
exactly,
that
like
sense,
Town, Argo, Air, Live by Night. That's rough. But some of his own best work has
right?
come in those movies that he put together. And so, like, I know a lot of people try it, so I think that's fun though. I love it, whether it's a miss or not.
Right.
I think that's great. Like that is so, like you said with Jesse Eisenberg, that's super cool. And now you were talking about the time.
Right.
Not everybody. I don't think everybody can do it successfully. But if you make the money, you have a successful acting career. Why the hell not try it?
Why not
Like
try?
absolutely. Like Quentin Tarantino, absolutely trash as an actor. I'm so sorry. I hate his cameos. I hate them so much.
And he
But he's got
started there, right? Isn't that what he started?
yeah.
He was doing acting first. Well,
Yes.
while writing, I should say. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think I don't know, dude. Maybe this is just my way of justifying my own pace in my life, as I feel like, oh, I'm behind in so many ways, while other folks might think I'm not behind. I'm right on time, or I'm ahead. And I often feel like I'm behind in every regard possible, like every aspect possible. Josh is behind. So when I hear stories like this, I'm like, maybe I'm not, because I'm still 8 years away from Jesse Eisenberg making A Real Pain. So
I just said he's so young at 41 without
right,
even having this conversation because I'm like, to me, hell yeah. It's not like he's too late or so like it just depends on the perspective.
right.
And I think that's changing for me too as I get older and like you said, you're like, oh, I'm behind, but then you get reminded like, no, not at all.
Dude, as you get older, you get younger. That's a trippy concept. But I think too, like, because you, of course, you're gonna have your greats that started young, and we celebrate that, right? Like, I think in a lot of ways, society celebrate like Forbes 30 under 30 or cities 40 under 40. And I think even in the film world, right? Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, what was he, like 29 or something when he directed his Reservoir Dogs? And just the other day, I saw that Paul Thomas Anderson directed Boogie Nights at 26, and it was right next. They're like, yes, he started young. Yes, that was a hit. Yes, that launched his career. And also, Ridley Scott directed his first movie at 40. I need to fact check that, but because I don't want to, I don't want to be like I sourced that, and it was like it was a TikTok. it's it's academically backed up because I saw it on an Instagram post.
Oh,
But
he's 41. He was
see,
41.
he was 41 when he directed his first feature film, and look who he is now. Like, dude, he's been directing, and he's like what 93 or something, still putting out bangers. And so, speaking of that, Gladiator 2 is this week, which I am so ready for.
Oh my God, he's 86 years old, dude.
Dang, the
That's
disrespect I
insane.
just
No,
showed.
you're right though, because all year long, and again, I love it. I love these people so much. You have Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Little Women.
Saoirse
Oh,
Ronan.
yes, like
Yeah,
there's
I
these
don't. I'm so sorry if I
killers.
butchered that.
Yes, I didn't even want to try. These killers coming up, and so like you said, it is fun to celebrate that. It is so fun to watch. It was so funny to me. Speaking of little Timmy, I saw an interview the other day that his favorite movie that he's done is Interstellar, and I'm like, homeboy, you were in it for 5 minutes, but he loves it. And it's like testament to the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
super cool. But yeah, it is something that is celebrated like that. But then Ridley Scott, an incredible banger that's coming out. Denzel Washington has had this really long career, but my guy's in his 60s to 70s, and he's still gonna pump out bangers. He's talking about he's not gonna retire soon. Clint Eastwood, I know he had a rough past, but like my guy's putting out decent movies into his 90s. There is no
Chris Wa-
limit in this world of like his son is nearing retirement. That's how
Right.
old Clint Eastwood is.
Wait,
But
what?
no, I'm
His son
joking.
is retiring? Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking.
I'm over here. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just saying,
yeah.
agreeing with everything.
Just agreeing with
Uh,
wait, what's his son's
but
name?
it's true,
Scott
dude.
Eastwood. Oh, he's only 40, I lied. But yeah, so that perspective is both are fun. It's so fun to see the young kids who are killers, and then it's like seeing people who've been around for decades, and our parents were seeing their premiere movies, and we are too. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah, dude. I've been chatting a lot with New Mexico Drew and Alex Sugg just about like creating and creativity as we usually do. And one of the things, that dude, I'm like wanting to embody like when I was a teenager, dude, I had no fear. I would put myself out there and just do dumb shit and I thought I could do it. And then now I'm like so like I imposter syndrome about everything and I don't. I'm scared, I'm worried. It's almost like I'm paralyzed because I think too much about it rather than just being an idiot and just being like a book, I can do that. A movie, I can write, I can make that. And so to my point of saying that there is no one way of looking at this of saying, dude, I just sometimes and not that that was the approach of these people. Like I don't know if Timmy was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to be dumb enough or just not think about something and put myself out there." I don't know if that was his process, but my point is having that like courage that young folks can sometimes embody just because, the less you know, the more you know, the less you know kind of thing. And before that happens, you're like, I don't know anything, therefore anything is possible.
Yep.
Versus the reality of like the more you learn and know, you're like, I don't know anything, which then, I think does contribute to the Ridley Scotts of the world making something at 41 with all of this wisdom and all of this lived life to be able to tell those stories. And so I think I mean, we need both, man. I think it's the both and I think my path is my path and I need to keep leaning on that. But I think, I don't want to live in a world where Ridley Scott didn't start directing at 41 and also where Paul Thomas Anderson didn't direct Boogie Nights at 26. Like, I think both of those need to exist. And rather than trying to figure out these systems or these ways of doing stuff because dude, it's so funny. I want to be myself in every space possible and I try my best to be myself other than like in when it comes to successful spaces where I'm like I'm going to read 1,000 how-to books. Like speaking of we're literally writing well right next I have like a screenwriting book over there. I'm just reading because there's not enough learning. So I'm going to take every class. I'm going to read every book. I'm going to watch every video that's going to teach me how to do something because I'm so afraid of being successful on my own that I need to figure out other people's paths and footsteps and then mimic them. When, dude, it's like 90% of those are always like, you just need to be yourself. Like even that on writing
Yeah.
book, the guy's like, hey, part of style is just be yourself. That's how you do it. And so no amount of What did Quentin Tarantino do? What did I almost said Lady Gaga again. Maybe Lady Gaga. What did Greta Gerwig do to become successful in the ways that they're successful? So I can copy that, and then I'm just not gonna be successful because it's not me. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, that was a long tangent. We can come back to wherever we were talking about.
No, I love it. I was literally just thinking about recently I was an extra for this Netflix thing. I saw it posted to Facebook. I had the day off. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. It was not a Netflix thing. It's a movie called He Bled Neon, like one of those lower budget B films. The director's this guy, Drew Kirsch, who's done nothing but music videos and like came to stardom. I'm so sorry if this isn't true, but because he directed a few Taylor Swift videos that were nominated for awards. And I was on set and like it's that Joe Cole from Peaky
Oh, Peaky
Blinders.
Blinders. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's another there was one more that Marshawn Lynch is in it, Rita Ora.
Right.
Anyways, so we were in the chapel where they were filming, where we were filming. I was just an extra in like this funeral scene supposed to be in Vegas. It's supposed to be a
Okay.
homeless guy. And the director comes in, his name, the Drew, the guy, he's super tall, he's super young. I can't tell what, like, I don't see his age online anywhere, but he seems really young. And like, it was really fun to watch. Like, if it was a miserable time, being an extra sucks. It's awful. I don't know why I did it. I did it years ago. I don't know why I did it again recently. I'm not going to do it again for a while, but it is very fun to see that process. I'm like, this guy was making music videos for years. And some people decided to finance his movie, selected him as a director, and he has this vision. And it was so cool to see him in action. I had no idea who he was. I was Googling it while I was on set because he comes in like raggedy clothes, like these really loose fitting sweats, these Nike shoes. His hair's all messed up and with some headphones around his neck. And I'm like, and the way he was talking to people, I'm like, oh, this is the director. And like, it's just cool to see creative people do their thing sometimes. Like I said,
Right.
being an extra sucks. I don't recommend it unless you really, really love the film industry. The craft services was great. Shout out to the company that
Is
served
it
everybody food.
is it just brutal because of time commitment or
Just long.
okay.
You're standing around for a while. They call you in, and then you go back and you sit and you're waiting, then bring you in. But I mean, it's fun. It's fun. But again, that was really cool. I was literally texting Kelly during it, like how cool it is to see this guy did some music videos, had a big break with the Taylor music video, and now is like directing the first feature film with some decent sized names for him. And like he has this vision for the story that he wants to bring to life. And to see that is super dope. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I think that's fun, man. Like there's no timetable. Again, this guy's young. Some people are older. You're figuring it out. But it's so we've talked about this again. I feel like we beat dead horses sometimes, but I don't care. It's what's on our minds. Like where that stops. Like you said, there's like you're like, I used to not care. And then
Right.
something shifts. And I don't know if it's like when you first experience consequences for putting yourself out there of like failure or defeat or criticism or ridicule. But anyways, this is weird, but last night Paxton, he loves to draw before bed. So we were watching this how-to video, this drawing, this really detailed dragon. It was pretty tough. And he was drawing, he was getting super frustrated. He crumbles his paper. He sits down on his bed. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore. He's like, she just does it perfect. I was like, Bubba, she's drawing on her iPad. You're drawing with a pen and a pencil. It's more difficult. I was like, it's harder to do because can't just click a button and change the color and make it perfect through Photoshop. He's like, yeah, but I'm not good. And like I was trying to show him all these great drawings he's done before. I was like, you can't give up just because you got to keep trying. We have unlimited paper and crayons. And anyways, put him in bed, left, went back into his room to grab something when he was asleep, and I noticed he had finished it and like finished coloring it. He did another version of it from his memory and taped it up in his room on his wall. And I was like, at his age, he gets frustrated, but he's like a few minutes later in his bed on his own, he decided to get up and try one more time. And like, it was super cool. I just like saw it hanging there. I'm like, he doesn't get the idea of like completely giving up yet. I guess he
Mm,
gets frustrated,
right.
but something in his mind a few minutes later, like when he was falling asleep, was like, I should probably try again. And it was dope. It was cool. He colored it really well. Like, and it was like, he's pretty good. I'm terrible at that stuff. But it's like, at what age or what period of time do you like completely give up and not want to try again?
Right.
I don't know. I was in my feelings last night after I saw that. I was like, hell yeah. Like he on his own was like, I should try again. And he didn't get to watch it because like we were watching my phone, but we don't do that. We're like too timid or like, it sucked or I'm not good at this. I should probably stop.
Right, dude, and that's an easy, slippery slope for Josh to go into an existential crisis in that I think the first thing I think about is like, yeah, where is it that I need to keep showing up, right? And we know
Yeah,
this, like we preach
yeah,
it all the time to other people. Oh, you just need to show up. You just got to keep showing up. Get back in the seat, keep writing, keep drawing. Just keep trying, try again.
yeah.
And but then I start thinking about where have I given up? And where did
Mm,
and then I'm like, that's the existential issues of just like, did I give up here? Why did I stop showing up? And what happened? And why do I like, what was, yeah, the cause? What shifted in my mind? And
yeah.
how am I not showing up for myself anymore? And so, maybe that's another reason I'm like, dude, maybe it's to reflect on like, dude, you're still young, man. Like, next time is next time. Now is now. Like, what are you
Yes.
doing right now? Like, instead of thinking about like, oh, when I'm gonna do this or where did I stop? It's like, oh yeah, just pick it up and go. Because dude, speaking of that, like there is like I've been thinking a lot. If you write 3 pages, a screenplay a day for 1 month, the month of December, you have a 90-page screenplay. That is probably the around the same length as a real pain. So there's a part of me, it's like, Josh, like just you got to show up, right? Be like Paxton, get back, draw some things. You can get frustrated, but you just got to keep doing it. Like, dude, if you want to, we get humbled all the time when we go back and look at our first newsletter, which is so funny to me because we were
Really?
so stoked to hit send. Dude, if you look at that thing, we're like, what the hell were we doing? There's no photos. There's
I
one
have to go look.
paragraph. It's so short. Like each section was like just like not even just because it was short, but it was I read it, I'm like, where's the depth to this? What were we thinking? But we were so
I have
jazzed,
to go
dude.
look.
We're like, dude, March 1st, man. This is the first newsletter. We're out. Dune 2. This rips. Oh my
Hold
goodness,
on, I
dude.
have to go look.
Anyways, it's a trip, but my point is that we kept like in the same way, like you're talking about Paxton or age, and it's embracing and embodying that idea to keep pressing public. Like recently, I read something about like whatever's published is not perfect, and whatever's perfect is never published. And I know
Mm,
it's like cliches and they rhyme and all that stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, that kind of hits because dude, if we would have waited for the newsletter to be perfect, dude, we wouldn't be what is it now? Like I don't even know how many weeks this is, but coming March
we'd
1st,
still
it's
be
gonna be
editing it right
52.
now.
It's wild. Yeah, we'd still be editing it. Would still be anyways. That's a whole I don't want to go down that tangent. But my point is, yeah, dude.
I let I so a big thing that I do at work is I write speeches for everybody. For our senior
Oh, that's
leaders, our
right.
CEO, they all go out and
Speechwriter.
about and speak. And our executive vice president and I were chatting today. She has one coming up. I wrote one for her last week, and it was the first time she felt comfortable doing like jokes and like trying to be funny when she came on stage. And I didn't go to the event, but she's like, Eric, I bombed. It just sucked. I didn't know I bombed. And I was like, she's like, there's some CEOs who just go up there and just like they just have it. They don't have notes. I was like, you know what? You have another. She has another one in 2 weeks, so we're riding one today. It's like just do it again in 2 weeks, and like it's that same like those people who are up there just ruling the stage. It didn't just like magically happen when they were born. They just had to keep trying and sucking and forgetting their lines or forgetting the speech and like yeah, that's the corporate world, but it's the same idea of like my most of my job is getting people prepared to speak publicly or speak on camera.
Right.
Like, there's no way around it. You just have to do it.
Right.
Like, there's literally
Right.
not. You can do trainings, yes, which is good, and practicing and recording yourself and preparation and like knowing the shit you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, none of that matters if you don't do it. And like, I know we're talking cliches. Like you just did the little rhyming. I don't remember much from college, so I don't know if I got a whole lot out of the education. Sorry, mom and dad. But I was taking a public speaking class my freshman year. It was the only one I took. And she's like, the whole fake it till you make it. She's like, just that's literally all public speaking is. You fake it till you become it. No one is a
Mm.
public speaker. Like you just have to become one by doing it. And so that's it. It is same with everything. But like I love that idea of like you just keep going. There's no magic pill. There's just not for anything.
And I think I don't know, on the same in that same vein, maybe it's because I was rewatching, Cha Cha Real Smooth in parts, and it's, the movie about, bar mitzvahs and party starter, and he's a young dude trying to navigate life. Anyways, there's a lot of dances going on, right? And he starts
Yeah.
that party starter to get people to dance and go to the center, so I've been reflecting on my own dancing in high school because I was that guy that showed up and just literally didn't dance. I just hovered on the perimeter like a anyways, it was not I was not cool. It was super weird, and it was riddled with fear, and anyways, reflecting on that, I just remember I keep thinking and to the point of, like, when you're in the center of the dance floor, you're either self-conscious about people thinking about critiquing how you're dancing, but you're still dancing, or you're dancing and you don't really care, or you're dancing, you're trying to impress people. But like, there's the point is the people that are dancing in the middle being critiqued by me who are just hovering around, not participating. And I think just like your CEO, I'm like, damn, but you're dancing. You might be self-conscious, but you're in the, and I always want to do that. So like when I see a public speaker, I'm like, damn, you're doing it and you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to be, you're risking enough to be critiqued. Even if you're not fully confident in what you're doing, you're still out there, and that's more than what most people do. And maybe that's enough for to get someone through. But for me, I'm like, yeah, I just want to like, and how do I embody that fake it till you make it mentality where I'm actually participating in life? Like I'm not on the
Yeah.
perimeter of what I want to do anymore. I'm in
Mm.
the middle of it, and I'm just having a good ass time doing it. Like some of my friends, they would get in the center and they could care less about how good, how bad. They're having a blast, and then like, dude, you do that enough times, inevitably you're going to be really good, or you're still going to continue having a blast doing it regardless. So, and I'm still at before novice of dancing because I never tried. And so I think for me, I've just been thinking a lot about that of like, where other places in my life am I just hovering the perimeter and not actually participating? And it kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, now is now. So I think just it's getting me in that headspace of
Well, that's exciting too because then you get that it's an exhilarating feeling to pull the trigger on pull the trigger sounds violent, but to pull the trigger on something like that, like to jump in 2 feet. So then you still have those opportunities to do that. I don't think he listens to the podcast. If he does, I'm so sorry for putting him on blast, but my buddy Scott, who does commercial real estate, there was a charity boxing event in town, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." And I was like, "Oh, I'd love to go support you and go." He's like, "Well, it's a charity thing, so it's like $400 a ticket." I was like, "I'll see you afterwards." I am not, no thanks. It was like one of those corporate things.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
an actual boxing match, but they had a bunch of real estate guys and gals box before to raise money. And so he trained for months. Jackson Winks, right? Paid buku bucks. And we got lunch a couple days later, and he told me he got not TKO'd in like 45 seconds. And he was telling me how he was bummed out, and he was like, I was real embarrassed. I just like went home, didn't really talk to my wife, like just didn't talk to friends after, just went home. And I was like, and then he said he came to this realization of like he was in the ring
He
and
was
like
actually boxing.
he actually boxed. And so that's where I'm like, dude, we had this great conversation of like, no one else was boxing. So if anyone wants to give you shit,
Right.
they didn't do it. You got in, he said he got in, he put his gloves up, the ref and the ring, the bell rung, and he said he blacked out and just started swinging crazy, forgot all his training. He's a super athletic dude,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
very in shape. But like he said he forgot all his training, got knocked out within a minute. And he just felt embarrassed. But then he came to the realization of like, I tried something new, and that's the same perspective of like nobody else was in the ring except for you and the homeboy you boxed. You put the gloves on. Nobody can critique you who has never done it. I've never
Right.
boxed. Like, yeah, my brother and my cousins and I would beat the shit out of each other at my grandpa's
Right.
house with these big ass gloves that we found they're all dirty and cut up. But like, I've never done it, so I couldn't critique you for getting knocked out. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so it's hard though. Like in the moment, it's hard when you do quote unquote fail or you don't accomplish what you thought. But like, there's also that exhilarating feeling of doing it for the first time.
Right. No, for sure, dude. And that's badass because yeah, dude, I didn't get in a ring. I didn't get into the center of the thing to get my face punched. Like that's
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of respect for that. And it's so funny because from the outside looking in, if you didn't tell me that story, I'd be like, shit, that's bad. Like that's so sick. Like look at them out there boxing, doing stuff for charity, doing all this stuff. But like you're saying, like, dude, like it's a different perspective depending on where you're standing from, and people don't know the difference. Just fake it, like the whole fake it till you make it kind of thing. And I think too that like something I thought about when you were saying that was that Anne Lamott quotes someone else in her book Bird by Bird because she writes on little note cards. She carries index cards through life, 3x5s, and she will write down different quotes that stick out, and it might turn into a chapter or turn into a paragraph or whatever. And one of them said like critics, which is ironic because we kind of, critique things on this podcast and in our newsletter. We write a lot of different reviews and stuff, but it says critics are like soldiers walking through the battlefield after the war's already happened, shooting the wounded. And I think that thinking about that and it's like, if we're going to walk in and critique things, having that empathy, because I will tie in too, like when I talk about movies, even when I talk about negatively or critique a movie like Red One, for example, because I did not enjoy that movie, one of the first things that I think about, dude, is Josh, you've made shitty videos. You've made shitty movies. And that's what like keeps me fearful often about putting stuff out there. And at the same time, I'm like, maybe that's more of a Josh, you step out in the ring. Like, what it's like to make a movie and reflect back on and be like, oh, that was not as good as I thought it was. And I think that does it helps me have a different perspective of like, Josh, you've been there. And so, and not saying that gives me a free pass to critique. What I'm saying is that when I critique, I do think about that. And at the end of the day, I'm like, these people are putting out movies. Not to say that we need to be spending $250 million on movies all the time that are not that good. Like, I would rather see, what was the budget for Real Pain? What was the budget for Nora? So like, I'm like,
I think do 100 of those, dude.
Denny, I'm pretty sure Denny did Dune 2 for like $100 million. So I'm like, we don't need all that. That being said, though, whoever's doing that is still taking risks, and they're making movies and they're putting it out there and they're taking some chances. And I don't know, maybe this is a completely different, what's it called? Different league, because $250 million feels irresponsible. So maybe this doesn't exactly work. My point is, though.
No, it's true. I think that actually might be. Now you could take this both ways. I get it; it's a double-edged sword. But like when doing that extra work on set is probably a good thing for people who just like shit on movies, because the Heba Neon is probably not going to be great. It's probably not going to be a good movie. I saw 50 people working their ass off, lighting, hiding cords, grip. I mean, the lead actors were like Rita Ora and Joe Cole, and these other ones were like really giving it their all in these scenes. And the camera crew and even the other extra, like, people worked hard. It's not going to be a good movie. It might be. It might shock me, but I think it might be one of those straight to streaming movies. We'll see who picks it up. But like, it doesn't matter. There's a balance of like people still put in effort for it. Doesn't mean you can't critique it, like you said, right? We shouldn't be spending the budget of 2 tunes on crap, but it's valid to critique, but also having that understanding of like, yeah, people put their effort in. Like, half of that budget probably went to The Rock and Chris Evans' salaries, but like straight up, right? 250 million
100%.
split between those two dudes. But like the cast, the crew, like, yeah, when you really see that work behind the scenes of any movie, small Netflix productions or whatever, it's pretty gnarly. Like,
dude, it's a trip. Also, sorry, I got distracted because Rita Ora, I Googled her, and she's married to Taika Waititi, and I had no idea.
Who?
Taika Waititi, the guy who directed Jojo Rabbit.
No way.
The New Zealander who did Hunt for the Wilder People and Thor Ragnarok. I really like, and What We Do in the Shadows. Shout out TV series.
Shut up. They're married?
Apparently, as of 2 years ago. Had no idea.
That is so wild.
I really like him. He's great. Jojo Rabbit, dude. Have you seen it? Talk about a full movie.
No, I've never seen Jojo Rabbit. No. Hey, by the way, speaking of, I don't know if I've seen her in anything, but she can cry on cue.
Rita Ora?
Yeah.
That's
all the extras were like, hey, I don't know.
Did you try? Did you try to cry on cue?
In the car ride home.
It's tough.
After I was like, hold up. I couldn't do it.
I feel like it would take me a while, but I think I could, not on cue, but like eventually I'd start crying. But you got to catch me on a extremely sad day, I think. But okay. Well, that's wild, dude. Okay, we're having a U-turn here because I realized we kind of thought about talking about the Penguin and Dune Prophecy.
We just yapped.
We just went on 18,000 tangents, but watch the Penguin. That's what I got to say. I'm going to condense our whatever length conversation. It just finished on HBO Max, and then Dune Prophecy because it's back to back. I can't believe they're doing this. They did 8 weeks for the Penguin, I think, right? I think they released it Thursday, and then maybe
Yep.
they did 7 weeks and released 2 in 1 week. Nonetheless, I digress. The Penguin is some of the best TV I've seen. Any hope that I was like, oh, I want to see the Joker or a Batman appearance, or maybe they'll tie in, I don't know, a new character. Absolutely not. Throw those out the window. I was so stoked and so happy with this movie or this show. And I think it's great. And I think if you're looking for something, HBO Max, they're doing pretty well.
Quick thoughts on Dune without spoilers.
Quick thoughts on Dune without spoilers.
My thoughts, the jury's out. I don't know yet.
The jury's
I don't know
out.
how I feel. Yeah, I don't know how I feel yet.
Yeah.
Is that the same? Is that
I
how
don't
it
know.
goes?
I don't know. The jury's out. Yes, the jury's still out. That's what it is. The jury is still out.
Oh, yes. Okay, cool.
New Mexico Drew is giving me shit because, and rightfully so, because I told him I do this all the time and I need to stop. I just start comparing. I just want this to be a Denny Villeneuve. Also, I realize his name is Villeneuve. I've been saying it not like that.
What have you been saying?
Villanueva.
Villanueva?
I don't even.
He's a number? He's a Spanish man.
What do you mean, dude? It looks, if you look at it, and if you're from like New Mexico, where my family and people are from, and sure, I don't speak Spanish, but everyone in my family does. I read that and I think,
Wait, I forgot you don't speak Spanish. You're an Oreo like me, dude.
dude, what? That is the wildest thing to say in the entire world.
Please cut that out.
That is so funny. But dude, no, I am, dude. I don't speak Spanish. Do you speak Spanish?
No, dude, I can understand a little bit. Like, but dude, we went to Mexico for our honeymoon. It was the first time I experienced. They were pissed at me. They were like, "You're
whitewashed.
like, how dare you?" And I was like, "Shit, my bad, boys. Like, I gotta pick it up."
I'm telling you, dude, it's bad. Yeah. I get, because I mean, look, I don't know. I sometimes get racially ambiguous. They think I'm a lot of different things, and so I don't always get assumed that I speak Spanish here in the States. I did travel abroad once, and dude, it was like darts. Like they just beelined it to me and started speaking Spanish, and they knew right away. And I've never felt more like a letdown. But that being said, I'm supposed to learn Spanish this year or within the next year, so I need to do that. But anyways, you can't tell me you look at Denny's name and think his name is Villanueva.
No.
What? You assume, you're like, oh yeah, that's Villeneuve.
No,
You're wild, dude.
Villeneuve.
You're just straight gaslighting to my face. But anyways, my whole point of this is Denny makes great movies. Dune, I love Dune. I love the Dune world. And I don't know what it is, the aesthetic. I don't know if it's the vibe. I don't know if it's, anyways. So I'm over here projecting all my expectations. And so I was kind of bummed. But that being said, also though, if I drop those out the wayside and forget all those things, I was pretty interested by the end of it. And I think I want to continue figuring out what this world's all about.
Yeah, it's hard because what Batman just did, right? Like it wasn't as close in proximity. Like Batman was 2022, Penguin came out this year, but just like seamless. That the grip that it holds on you, because Batman was phenomenal. I think that's what's tough. But
yeah, what are your general thoughts about Dune Prophecy?
I don't want to say it because it ruins it from everybody. But you brought up Divergent.
Excuse me?
And like
drag my offline texts, my offline conversations.
I was 24 minutes in. I paused it. As I was talking to Josh, he told me something about Divergent, and I was like, shit, yeah, you're right. And then I started thinking, Kelly and I have been, obviously, if you follow us on any socials, you know, all we watched for a long period of time was A Handmaid's Tale. I'm looking at the screen thinking of like what the Handmaid's Tale calls the Red Center, where the handmaids are trained to be handmaids, and like that's all I can see. It is brutal. It was this brutal turn of events. The vibe shifted after I talked to Josh. It was actually sad.
I'm so sorry. Well, dude, it's because the show does it's following the origins or the early beginnings of is it Benny Gesserit's? Ben Gesserit's, not Benny. Ben Gesserit's, right?
Ben Gesserit.
I know they say it in the movies, but of course, when the spotlight's on,
yeah,
blacking out right now, dude. Don't know a thing. Everything just fell out my ear holes. I think it's Ben Gesserit. Anyways, it follows the early Ben Gesserit, so there's a lot of like school-esque vibes and a lot of, uniforms and dystopian type of feel. And so I'm sorry, dude. I was incepted and I just leaked out Divergent. And I'm
Brutal.
not saying this is like on the level of down with Divergent. I'm just saying
Down.
that one's on me, man. What do you mean down? Oh, you're giving me crap saying I'm talking shit about Divergent. Have you
I'm
seen
just
them?
kidding.
I love the books.
I've never seen any of the Divergents, actually.
Have you read the books?
No.
All right, we should do a medium project on it.
Should we, actually?
But speaking of that, just with the reason we bring up Dune Prophecy and totally failed in this episode to talk about it is just that I'm bought in terms of continuing to watch this. Like Eric said, the jury's out. Some other folks are really stoked about this, and so I'm excited that I don't know. I am excited. Anyways, I'm
The same folks who are excited about it don't think Ryan Gosling has range, so
oh,
take
catching
with that
strays.
what you will.
I'm so sorry, but I'm excited to keep it. The episode left me with questions, which is good. It got me hooked at the end where I need to know now. And so I'm excited to continue journeying on this thing. So if you want to journey with us, this is going to release every Sunday. The show, not this podcast. I don't know. Eric and I are going to try to record more, but at the same time, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with this. But watch with us and we can engage on socials and stuff. But speaking of that, I hope you've been enjoying the Medium project of the Harry Potter series that releases every Sunday. That Sarah and I have recorded and we're trying to keep at least some content flowing. But yeah, I've just finished this quarter of life where I'm going to be a little more free. Eric, we need to, I don't know,
We need to jump back on the train real quick before we close. Jesse Eisenberg was in The Village, dude.
Dude, oh my gosh. I was going to say that earlier when you said that. Everybody was in The Village.
What do you mean?
I'm outing myself, dude. I've never seen it. Well, I think I've said that on this podcast before. Maybe not based on your face.
Crazy work.
I've never seen it. I knew Joaquin Phoenix was in it, but dude, I looked it up and there's so many Cherry Jones. Do you remember the death doula from Our Friend, Dakota Johnson, Jason Segel, and Casey Affleck really sad movie? She's in it. Adrian Brody, Brendan Gleeson, Bryce Dallas Howard. There's
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. I recognize William Hurt's face. I'm not really sure what movie I'm placing him in. My point is, Jesse Eisenberg was in it, and I had no idea either. I'm like, dude, there's like everyone's in this movie.
Wow, that's actually kind of gnarly, dude. I love it. Who's Scott Sauer? Why does he look familiar?
Dude, this guy, William Hurt, was in he's Secretary Ross in the Marvel world. Black Widow, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity World. Had no idea.
Shooty career. Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to rewatch. Kelly thinks
I have to rewatch too. I have to watch for the first time. What was he doing? What was Jesse doing there? Anyways, good for him. I was looking it up because his early stuff, like Squid and the Whale, is I really love Squid and the Whale. New York, small plot movie. Maybe I'm overusing that now because I learned it.
It's just one of those.
It's a Noah Baumbach film. It's a good time if you like Noah Baumbach films. I know that's not giving you very much direction here, but he wrote with Wes Anderson for Fantastic Mr. Fox, and he did Marriage Story.
I'm gonna be so real with you. I think Marriage Story is the only one I've seen.
That's okay. I mean,
wow,
he does some like pretty, I guess, indie stuff.
I've heard quite a bit about While We're Young, but I
like that one.
Haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
He likes Ben Stiller, huh?
He does like Ben Stiller.
Interesting.
And he's partnered, maybe gotta fact check that, with Greta Gerwig. And so he was also the writer on Barbie because, Greta Gerwig. But
yes.
One that I need to check out is Meyerowitz Stories. Noah, remember Noah mentioned it on.
Yes.
He was talking about the Adam Sandler movie. That's a Noah Baumbach movie.
Okay, I pulled up our first newsletter. Dude.
Telling you, dude. It's pretty atrocious, if I do say so myself.
I wouldn't say atrocious, but we've leveled up for sure.
Good for us, dude. I know, dude. It's just so funny. Like, looking back, I'm like, how did we send this with no images?
That's so gnarly.
Anyways,
wow.
If anyone wants to see Humble Beginnings and also Humble Middlings, just go look at the newsletter right now.
Humble Middle.
And also,
that's outrageous.
Shameless plug. Subscribe. Oh,
Oh,
all
man.
right, dude. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we head out of this?
Subscribe, tune in, especially to the newsletter. This week we got Gladiator 2. We got a lot of good shit coming up. Christmas is going to be special with Nosferatu.
Dude, and Wicked. This week's double. We're
Double
doing
feature, double feature.
Gladiator, Wicked, and dude, Christmas, Nosferatu, which you're gonna go see. You and Kelly.
yeah.
We're
Yep.
splitting this up. The whole Swing Condensed crew is being dispatched because there's like 5 movies. There's Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown with Timmy and Edward Norton, the Bob Dylan movie, and then there's Baby
Yes.
Girl with Saint Nicole Kidman, and Harris Dickinson from Iron Claw and Triangle of Sadness. That one I think is gonna be a good time, dude. It's gotten some notoriety in the Gotham Awards, the indie film, American Indie Film Awards or something like that. But yeah, it was the watch list worthy that from last week. And I know you always read those because you always ask me about A Real Pain if it's ever been in the newsletter, and it had 3 times. No, I'm just kidding. It was there once, but
Shut the hell up.
but we're gonna be busy on Christmas. So, anyways,
Hell yeah.
to Eric's point, we're gonna be busy. A lot of good shit coming out, even Mufasa. And yeah, tune in. Until next time. Peace.